There's so many videos out there of people who have done a week without sugar, 30 days without sugar, 2 months without sugar, but I went an entire year without sugar and it has changed my life. So stay tuned because I'm gonna share with you all of the dirty little deeds. If you're new to my channel, then welcome. I talk all about sustainable weight loss and holistic nutrition. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, make sure that you smash that big red subscribe button. And if you're returning, then hey, it's wonderful to see you again, beautiful soul. So without further ado, I wanna get right into my experience of one entire year without sugar. So why did I decide to go an entire year without sugar? For me, it was actually all health-based. I struggled with multiple chronic illnesses, including fibromyalgia, autoimmune tendencies, chronic fatigue syndrome. The list honestly goes on and on, as well as lots of gut issues. And in order to work through all of that, I needed to really heal my gut. Sugar is very inflammatory and actually is linked to a lot of diseases. Sugar feeds even things like cancer. So I decided to go an entire year without sugar. So for the first 4 months, I decided to only have honey and maple syrup, nothing else. Well, and fruit too. But then after that, I ended up going keto because I still wasn't exactly where I wanted to be with my health or my inflammation. So I cut out sugar altogether. And I actually did 4 months of keto without any stevia too. And then I introduced stevia back into my diet. So a couple reasons to cut back on sugar are because it is not good for your gut health. It can lead to a roller coaster ride when it comes to your blood sugar and your mood and your stability. There's actually a lot of links to excess sugar consumption as well as anxiety and depression. There are also links to sugar and cancer and disease. Overall, it's also just very inflammatory. And so if you have any skin conditions or if you struggle with acne, cutting back on sugar can really help to clear all of that up. So eating too much sugar can even affect your metabolism. So if you want to burn fat easily, then having a ton of sugar every single day might not be the very best answer. Noticed the craziest results specifically in my skin, and at the end of the video I'm gonna show you my before and after pictures, and they're honestly unreal. So when I quit sugar, I decided to round up everything in the house, everything in my room, and just get rid of it. I had no idea how many things had sugar in them that I didn't even think had them in it. So I just started going through all of my snacks because I knew that as long as they were there, I was going to eat them. So the limit that you're supposed to stick to for a woman for sugar is about 6 teaspoons per day and about 9 teaspoons for a man. And the average that Americans actually consume is 17 teaspoons a day, which ends up being around 57 pounds of sugar per year. 1 can of soda alone contains about 11 teaspoons of sugar. And most Americans actually consume 3 to 4 cans of soda per day. So by consuming even just 1 can of soda, you're already putting yourself at almost your entire daily allowance for sugar. So once I removed everything from my house that had sugar in it to begin this journey, I decided that I was going to find replacements for the things that I loved. Now, as I said in the beginning, I only used honey and maple syrup, and then I transitioned to only stevia, and I just recently transitioned back to honey, coconut sugar, and maple syrup, as well as stevia. Now, the thing about sugar is that it is addicting, and that is why these food companies are adding so much sugar to all of our foods, because we want to eat it. It makes us want to eat more and more and more of their products. So they're going to continue to fill their products with sugar because they know we will be addicted to them, and then we will continue to buy them and continue to eat them. If you feel completely addicted to sugar, it is not your fault at all. There's actually something called candida, which is a fungus that can grow in your gut. Now, we all have candida, but excess amounts are not good. And eating too much sugar, too many refined oils, and too much processed food can allow the candida to grow, and you can end up with something called candida overgrowth. Now, since candida lives off of sugar, therefore it causes you to actually crave a lot more of it. So it's like this non-ending cycle that you can find yourself in, where every time you try to quit sugar, you just crave it so strongly. But there is something that you can do about that. And I found this most helpful, and that's just to cut out sugar cold turkey. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't ever go back to it, but in the beginning, whenever you're struggling with something like candida, trying to only limit your sugar can be super difficult. And that's what I found in my own personal experience. I was really struggling to not continue to go back to the sugar when I started to just cut it out a little bit. I had to actually cut it out completely, and that's why I ended up not even having honey or maple syrup, and I went straight for only stevia. It allows time for your body to heal and to get rid of the candida so that you can go back to consuming sugar in normal amounts without being totally addicted to it. So I started making lots of my own creations and lots of my own desserts with my stevia and just experimenting around. There were tons of recipes I found on Pinterest, and at first it was a bit of a transition, but then it wasn't too bad at all, and I got really used to the taste. I started making things like healthy hot chocolate and fudge and brownies and all kinds of really fun things. So replacing with healthier sweets and alternatives is definitely a key component in being able to get the sugar out of your life without craving it constantly. Now, I didn't have to do this permanently. This was only temporary so that my body could heal, and now I am reintroducing sugar back into my life, and I am finding that I am no longer addicted to it at all. Now, sugar can go under lots of different names. Some of these are corn syrup, dextrose, fructose, sorbitol, lactose. The list goes on and on. There are so many different names that sugar can be hidden. So at the end of the day, what it comes down to is just determining, do I know what this is and do I know what this means on my food label list? And if you see something and you have no clue what it is, you probably shouldn't be putting it inside of your body. Whereas if something says raw cane sugar or coconut sugar or honey or maple syrup, you know exactly what that is, and you know whether or not it's okay for your body. The sugars that I am currently reintroducing are honey, maple syrup, and coconut sugar. I eventually plan on reintroducing dates and then having raw cane sugar on occasion. However, white sugar is now out of the question. There is absolutely no nutritional value whatsoever, plus it is super inflammatory and just not fantastic for your health. Don't beat yourself up about it if you eat something with white sugar from time to time, but it is not something that is meant to be a dietary staple every single day. This kind of sugar never used to be this readily available to us, and so our bodies just aren't meant to eat this much of it. And now we're consuming it in pretty much every single food we eat throughout the day. Now, I'm about to get to my results, but first I want to share with you what a day on my plate without refined sugar looks like. So I typically start off my morning with something very different than what most people would eat. I like to have a veggie bowl in the morning. Starting your morning off with a source of veggies as well as fat can be so satiating. And that is another thing that I noticed was super helpful throughout this transition, was increasing my amounts of healthy fats, because then I was able to be more satiated and didn't feel the need to binge on sugar. Around the middle of my day, I typically have some type of smoothie, and I like to usually use some type of berry or fruit. I love strawberry smoothies right now. Sometimes I'll add in cocoa powder and make them chocolatey. Sometimes I just make a strawberry cream smoothie or a blueberry smoothie. Absolutely love, love, love smoothies. And I also like to have another healthy source of fat. So I'll either add almond butter into my smoothie, or honestly, sometimes just eat 2 tablespoons of almond butter right out of the jar. Snacks that I love are dried mango slices. I also love to mix almond butter or sunflower butter with a little bit of honey. It is so good. And then at some point throughout the day, I almost always have a piece of chocolate, and my absolute favorite at the moment are these honey organic chocolates, which I'm actually gonna be having a giveaway with on my Instagram page. So make sure that you go and follow that right on over here so that you can check that out. It will be up at some point within the next 2 weeks. You can go ahead and just scan this with your phone and my Instagram will pop right up for you. And then for dinner, I usually have some type of veggies, and sometimes it's a salad, sometimes it's just grilled veggies or sauteed veggies, as well as chicken breast, olive oil, and salt. The way that I stay satiated throughout the day is by adding fats to every single meal. That is my favorite thing to do. And a lot of times I'll also add in like an apple or even some frozen blueberries or something like that. And I find that I am totally satiated. And if after dinner, for some reason, I'm not quite satiated yet, I'll have some kind of dessert. There is some type of gluten-free and dairy-free muffin or cookies that I've made, or even just another piece of chocolate. Eating healthy and eating sugar-free does not have to be hard or even boring. I like to stick to this because I like to eat the same thing every single day, but if you don't, you can totally switch it up and get super creative. So now on to my results. So after an entire year of being sugar-free, there are a couple of different things that I can tell you. The first thing is that if you've heard the statement before that once you stop eating sugary things, your taste buds change, I'd like to affirm that that statement is 100% true. Once you cut out sugar from your diet and you've had it out for long enough, other sources of sugar, which are not white sugar, actually become more sweet to you. Desserts and things like that made from healthier ingredients start to taste a lot better. And when you do go to eat white sugar again, sometimes it's actually too sweet to even eat. A piece of dark chocolate is so satiating to me now and never would have been before. But now whenever I have a sweet tooth craving, it's all I need to kick it. The absolute number one thing for me that changed was progression with healing my chronic illness. Sugar is so inflammatory, and whenever I stopped consuming sugar, my inflammation levels decreased significantly. I am now in the normal range for all of my inflammation levels, and my chronic illness is in remission. So if you are struggling with any type of chronic illness, then cutting sugar can be a major component. Don't get me wrong, it's not the only one. You need to clean up your diet as a whole, but reducing inflammation in any way is so helpful. Okay, next up is no more cravings. Seriously, whenever you cut sugar, you at first struggle immensely with cravings. I'm not gonna lie, not gonna deny that. It is really hard at first. All you wanna do is just binge on that sugar, and that is part of the candida die-off because you're essentially killing the fungus and bacteria in your gut that shouldn't be there, and it's trying to do everything to survive, so it wants you to eat more sugar. After about a month, that goes away, and so do your cravings, and it's amazing. And along with that comes blood sugar stabilization. So whenever you are eating tons of sugar, your blood sugar is on a constant spike up and down all day long. However, whenever you cut it out, your blood sugar stabilizes and you no longer experience things like hunger or just being hungry like every hour or needing food every hour, or even just getting really jittery and really anxious or really all over the place and having your attention be everywhere and brain fog and all that stuff that no one really likes to experience all goes away once your blood sugar levels back out again. And along with that comes a major increase in energy. And probably the next two things are the ones that you are probably most interested in, and that is my skin and my weight. So how did cutting sugar for an entire year affect both of those? First of all, here is a before picture of my skin. Yeah. And here is an after picture. Much better. My skin cleared up amazingly, and it did not happen immediately. It took about 3 months for my skin to get from here to here. Cutting sugar cuts out inflammation, as well as cutting out dairy and cutting out gluten and soy all helped to seriously heal my gut and heal my skin. I now almost never get a breakout. Seriously, it is so rare for me to even get a single pimple on my skin. It is amazing to not have to worry about it at all and to just know that I'm doing what is best for my body and my health. And of course, my weight as well. Here is a before picture of my incredibly inflamed body, and here is an after picture of my body, which is no longer struggling with serious inflammation. A weight is not the end all and be all thing whatsoever. However, taking care of your body from the inside out is the true sustainable way to weight loss. So finding what foods work truly best for your body, eliminating the foods that don't, eliminating the foods that cause inflammation are how you can actually lose weight in the long term. And cutting sugar is definitely one way that really helps me with this. Now, if you're not ready or willing to cut sugar out cold turkey, then go ahead and try to just reduce it a little bit. Maybe you get a Starbucks drink every single day. Maybe you drink a soda every single day. Just choose something to cut it out. And it's honestly best to start with liquid calories. So drinks are the best place to start in your diet when it comes to cutting sugar, and after that you can work from there. Make sure to give this video a huge thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and also leave me a comment down below because I'm curious, what is your relationship to sugar? Do you feel totally addicted, or do you feel like you have a pretty stable relationship with sugar? I really want to know, and I want to hear from you. And if you haven't yet, make sure you hit that big red subscribe button down below because I would love to see you back here on my channel. And I hope that you have the very best day.